When Rami Malek's brilliant CIA cryptographer discovers his wife has been murdered by terrorists in London, he blackmails his own agency into training him as a field operative and embarks on a revenge mission using his intellect as his weapon. Written by Ken Nolan and Gary Spinelli, this espionage revenge thriller from director James Hawes and 20th Century Studios proves that sometimes the most dangerous person is the one everyone underestimates. Filming halted in July 2023 due to the SAG-AFTRA strike before resuming months later, and here's how one man's grief transformed into calculated vengeance. The story begins with Charlie Heller in his garage, working on an old Cessna airplane his wife Sarah once gave him to help him conquer his fear of flying. Rachel Brosnahan's character Sarah walks in, reminding him she needs to leave soon for a business conference in London. In the kitchen, Charlie makes her coffee while she teases him about never traveling. She invites him along, but he declines, explaining he has work obligations at CIA headquarters. Charlie describes himself as a wife guy, someone whose entire world revolves around Sarah. When her ride arrives, they share a tender goodbye. Charlie even chases the car down the driveway as it pulls away. Most romantic gesture or cardio excuse? At the Decryption and Analysis Division, Charlie passes through multiple security checkpoints. He encounters John Bernthal's field agent character known by the codename The Bear, who asks if Charlie can fix his computer during lunch. Charlie agrees and heads to his desk where he receives an encrypted file from his mysterious contact Inquilin, someone he's communicated with for 5 years without meeting. The file contains a warning about compromising CIA intelligence. Charlie attempts to crack the encryption but hits error codes. During lunch in the cafeteria, Charlie's co-workers tease him about being friends with the bear. Charlie brushes it off, mentioning he once saved the agent's life. Nothing says workplace bonding like literally keeping someone alive. Back at his station, Sarah calls to confirm she arrived safely in London. Charlie admits he already knows because he tracked her flight. Still unable to access Inquilin's file, Charlie takes his computer into a restricted room reserved for senior analysts where more powerful systems are available. After intense work, he breaks through the encryption and discovers something horrifying. The files reveal evidence of CIA drone strikes disguised as suicide bombings. The footage shows at least 150 people killed, including French Special Forces and Danish Marines. The entire Black Ops operation was planned and authorized by Chief Moore, Charlie's direct supervisor at the Special Activities Center. Shaken by what he's discovered, Charlie encounters his co-worker Carlos, hinting that he may have accessed something dangerous. Carlos warns him to keep quiet about it. That evening, Charlie calls Sarah, but she doesn't answer. He leaves a voicemail saying he misses her. The next morning at the office, Charlie finds Chief Moore waiting at his desk. Holt McCallany's character Moore greets him warmly, then asks Charlie to follow him to the director's office. Inside, Moore introduces him to Julianne Nicholson's newly appointed Director O'Brien. She solemnly informs Charlie there's been a terrorist attack in London at the Christopher Street Hotel where Sarah was staying. Moore delivers the news that Sarah has been killed. Charlie refuses to believe it until Moore shows him live news coverage. The reporter explains that 4 assailants stormed the hotel, took hostages, and killed 2 people, including an American woman. Moore then pulls up hotel security footage, confirming Sarah was among the victims. Later, Carlos drives Charlie home where reporters have already gathered. Alone inside, Charlie is devastated. The next morning, Charlie confronts Moore and Supervisor Caleb, demanding to know why there's no progress. He points out that London has nearly 1 million CCTV cameras, and the terrorists couldn't have simply vanished. Moore and Caleb assure him they're working on it and send him home to rest. Charlie retrieves Sarah's body from the airport. Among her belongings, he finds a small puzzle gift she'd bought for him with a heartfelt note attached. The keychain puzzle becomes something Charlie fidgets with constantly, a symbol of how his mind works. The gesture breaks him completely and he collapses in tears. Unable to mourn passively, Charlie returns to CIA headquarters and sneaks into the restricted computer room. He hacks into London's surveillance network and retrieves the complete attack timeline. Through facial recognition and voice analysis, he identifies the 4 terrorists: Mishka Blažić, based in Moscow; Lawrence Elish, a former South African Special Forces operative; Gretchen Frank, a former Armenian intelligence officer; and mercenary leader Horst Schiller, who personally killed Sarah. Charlie tracks Gretchen to Paris. When Charlie presents his findings to Moore and Caleb, he realizes they show no surprise. They already knew everything. Frustrated and angry, Charlie is sent to the agency therapist where he opens up about his guilt for not traveling with Sarah. He also confesses his rage at the CIA's inaction despite having the killers' identities. The next day, Charlie executes a brilliant plan. He hides a microchip inside his ID badge to bypass security scanners, then copies Inquilin's classified files onto it. He uses a skimmer device on the office printer to create additional backups. That evening, he stops at a bar and hides evidence inside the old jukebox. Retro technology saving the day in the digital age. The next morning, Charlie confronts Moore and Caleb with proof of Moore's entire history of Black Ops missions. He's activated a dead man's switch that will send the files to journalists if he doesn't enter a code every 5 hours. Charlie makes his demand clear. He wants to eliminate the killers himself. He demands full training, equipment, fake passports, weapons, and everything necessary to hunt them down personally. Moore mocks him, joking that Charlie couldn't beat a 90-year-old nun in an arm wrestling match. But when they see Charlie is serious, they reluctantly agree. After leaving, Charlie vomits from stress in his car. Blackmail is harder on the stomach than you'd think. Meanwhile, Moore and Caleb decide to comply temporarily, but plan to eliminate Charlie once they locate his dead man's switch or confirm he's bluffing. Charlie arrives at the CIA's training facility where he meets Lawrence Fishburne's Colonel Henderson. Henderson makes it clear Charlie must follow every instruction to have a slight chance of surviving. Caleb's team scrambles to figure out how Charlie smuggled files past security. They mention his IQ of 170 and realize he might have used a skimmer on the printers. At the training facility, Charlie's firearms instruction goes disastrously. He can't hit targets even from close range. Henderson moves him to point-blank distance where Charlie finally lands a shot, smart enough to hack the Pentagon but can't hit a barn door from 10 feet. The next day, Charlie takes a class on improvised explosives and excels immediately. He assembles a sophisticated bomb with minimal assistance. Henderson drills Charlie on maintaining fake identities and prepares forged passports. Meanwhile, Caleb's team discovers Charlie visited a specific bar twice, including the day he copied the files. They search it again and find a CD hidden inside the jukebox. Their tech analyst begins working to decrypt Charlie's code. That night, Henderson visits Charlie's room and finds him studying photos of the terrorists. He hands Charlie a gun and tells him to point it at his chest and pull the trigger. Charlie trembles but can't do it. Henderson declares that Charlie simply isn't a killer and never will be. Later, Charlie listens through a bug he planted in Moore's office. He hears them successfully decrypt the CD and discover there's no dead man's switch. Moore immediately orders Henderson to kill Charlie. When Henderson arrives with his weapon drawn, he finds the bed empty. Charlie has escaped using a stolen janitor's keycard and taken all the fake passports. Caleb realizes Charlie played them. Moore then discovers the real bug Charlie planted on the physical file during their confrontation. Charlie boards a plane to London, then travels to Paris. At immigration, his forged passport clears without issue. Charlie checks into a hotel overlooking a cafe Gretchen frequents. He hacks her phone remotely and plants a tracker. That night, he follows her to her apartment. Once Gretchen and her boyfriend leave, Charlie sneaks inside using a YouTube tutorial to pick the lock. Guy with an IQ that could solve world hunger needs WikiHow for basic breaking and entering. Inside, he photographs her calendar and finds a gun. When the couple returns unexpectedly, Charlie barely escapes. Back at his hotel, Charlie notices Gretchen has an appointment at an allergy clinic. He researches and discovers she's being treated for severe pollen allergies. He formulates a plan. The next morning, Charlie buys every bouquet of flowers from a shop. He waits at a cafe across from the clinic. When Gretchen arrives for her treatment, Charlie causes the clinic's computer system to crash. While the doctor investigates the technical issue, Charlie enters disguised as medical staff, locks the door, and seals Gretchen inside the hypobaric respiratory chamber. He pumps concentrated pollen into the sealed chamber, triggering a violent allergic reaction. As she struggles to breathe, Charlie demands Schiller's location. But moments before she passes out, Charlie's resolve breaks. He opens the chamber. Gretchen bursts out, overpowers him, and flees into the street where a van strikes and kills her. Talk about terrible timing for Paris traffic. Charlie grabs her phone and escapes. At CIA headquarters, Director O'Brien confronts Moore about Gretchen's death, especially since the French ambassador is demanding answers. That night in Marseille, Charlie drinks heavily at a nightclub when he spots Henderson approaching. Charlie runs through the back exit with Henderson in pursuit. Cornered in a bar's bathroom, Charlie reveals he planted an explosive. The bomb detonates and Charlie escapes in the chaos. Bathroom breaks have never been more explosive. Exhausted, Charlie contacts Inquilin, who provides coded instructions. He boards a cargo plane to Istanbul, where Inquilin directs him to a cafe. Inside, Charlie assumes a middle-aged man is his contact, but Catriona Balfe's character intercepts him. To Charlie's surprise, Inquilin is actually a woman. 5 years of encrypted messages, and he never considered checking the pronouns. She explains her late husband, a former KGB officer who became a CIA asset, was the original Inquilin. After his death 6 years ago, she continued his work. They arrive at her secluded home guarded by guinea fowl that serve as an alarm system. Better security than most people's Ring doorbells. Together, they analyze intelligence on the remaining targets. Charlie identifies Michael Stuhlbarg's Horst Schiller as the mastermind who recruits mercenaries for Black Ops missions. Lawrence Elish handles weapons trafficking but is paranoid. Inquilin volunteers to pose as an arms dealer to lure him out. They locate Mishka in Madrid through social media analysis. Back at Langley, Caleb orders surveillance on the 3 remaining targets, certain Charlie will strike again. O'Brien meets Moore for lunch and warns him she won't tolerate being kept in the dark about operations. When O'Brien learns Moore sent Henderson to Madrid without authorization, she dispatches her own agent to shadow him. Charlie and Inquilin track Mishka to a luxury hotel in Madrid with a rooftop suspended pool. Charlie studies the pool's glass structure and designs an elaborate trap instead of a simple shooting. Because why use one bullet when you can engineer a death trap worthy of a Bond villain? Meanwhile, Henderson calls Moore suggesting they spare Charlie, but Moore refuses. Charlie builds a device to compromise the pool's glass integrity. The next night, everything is ready. In the hotel lobby, Charlie notices someone tailing him. Inquilin spots both Henderson and O'Brien's agent on security feeds heading toward Charlie's location. Despite her warnings, Charlie proceeds to the rooftop. He confronts Mishka in the pool, revealing he's Sarah's husband. Charlie shows Mishka a remote control and explains he's been decompressing air between the glass layers. One button press will shatter the entire structure. Mishka panics, but Charlie activates the device. The glass explodes outward and Mishka plummets to his death. Turns out the pool wasn't as relaxing as advertised. Henderson intercepts Charlie in the basement, but O'Brien's agent tackles Henderson. The two engage in brutal combat. The agent shoots Henderson in the stomach, but Henderson wrestles the gun away and kills the agent. Charlie hesitates, wanting to help the wounded Henderson, but Inquilin urges him to run. Director O'Brien summons Moore, asking about Charlie's whereabouts. Moore claims Charlie is on bereavement leave, but O'Brien has surveillance photos proving otherwise. Meanwhile, Caleb's team identifies Inquilin as a 50-year-old ex-KGB widow operating from Istanbul. Caleb contacts Russian intelligence to locate her. That night at Inquilin's home, Charlie rests on her couch. She admits she hasn't slept beside someone in years and lies down next to him. Suddenly, the guinea fowl screech. On her security feeds, Russian operatives are infiltrating the property. Charlie and Inquilin escape through a hidden exit and speed away in her car. Russian agents open fire. A patrol boat appears along the shoreline. A single shot kills Inquilin instantly. Devastated, Charlie drags her body into the passenger seat and drives to a garage where he leaves her. At a cafe, Charlie receives a message on Inquilin's phone from Elish agreeing to the weapons deal. Charlie arranges a meeting in Romania. Before Elish arrives, Charlie hacks European security systems, making random people appear as him on surveillance feeds across multiple cities. Confusing intel agencies across an entire continent just became Charlie's new party trick. When Elish arrives, Charlie instructs him to open a box containing the missiles. Inside is an IED rigged to detonate if the lid drops or the laser beam is crossed. Charlie confronts Elish, showing him Sarah's photo taped inside the box. Terrified, Elish reveals Schiller operates from his yacht in Russian waters near Primorsk. He provides phone numbers and a numerical code to contact Schiller's crew. Charlie takes the information and walks away, leaving Elish trapped with the active bomb. Charlie travels to Primorsk by boat and finally solves Sarah's puzzle. Took hunting down 3 international mercenaries to crack a keychain puzzle. At the seaport, he spots 3 suspicious men loading a boat. Charlie sends the code to one of the numbers Elish provided. One man immediately checks his phone, confirming they're Schiller's crew. Charlie photographs the vessel and ducks into a nearby cafe where he unexpectedly encounters the bear. The agent admits he came on his own to help Charlie escape Russia. He warns that Charlie can only leave in a box unless he accepts help now. But Charlie refuses, saying home doesn't feel like home without Sarah. The bear understands and departs. Charlie buys supplies, including a smartwatch, and uses the boat's registration to trace Schiller's yacht. The next morning, one of Schiller's men knocks Charlie unconscious. They transport him to the yacht. Charlie finally faces Horst Schiller, who holds up a bomb Charlie had planted earlier. Schiller scoffs that he's insulted. Charlie thought something so primitive would work. Charlie explains he knows about Schiller's Black Ops work for more, but that's not why he's here. Schiller murdered Sarah, and Charlie wants revenge. Schiller calmly explains Sarah's death was necessary, not personal. Police blocked their escape route, so he killed her to send a message. Schiller asks why Charlie killed his operatives from a distance in elaborate ways. He hands Charlie his loaded gun, challenging him to pull the trigger up close. Charlie raises the weapon but can't do it. He tells Schiller that killing him quickly would be too easy. Suddenly, the yacht lurches violently. Charlie reveals he's taken control of the navigation system, rerouting them into Finnish territorial waters while transmitting coordinates to authorities. Schiller insists the yacht's CIA-designed system is unhackable, but Charlie smiles. He built that encryption himself. Nothing like using your own genius against your enemies. Moments later, Finnish Navy vessels and Interpol teams surround the yacht. Officers board and arrest everyone except Charlie, the anonymous whistleblower. The next day, Director O'Brien holds a press conference revealing the illegal drone strikes and Black Ops missions. High-ranking officials, including Moore and Caleb, have been arrested. O'Brien confirms the whistleblower is safe and still with the agency. Charlie visits Sarah's grave and places flowers. That evening, Henderson waits in his car. Henderson tells him he's proud that Charlie took action when no one else would. He promises they'll meet again. In the final scene, Charlie enters his garage where the Cessna airplane Sarah gifted him has finally been repaired. Fun fact, Martha Keller, star of the 1981 film adaptation, makes a cameo as a florist in Paris, bridging the two versions separated by over 40 years.